Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm taking a dive into a painting experiment. Didn't quite go as planned, but we're here to learn. This is the end of my series where I've been experimenting with some new techniques with mediums. Join me today as we have a look at the last elemental figure that I've been painting up in this little mini series. This is the wind elemental, and today I've been experimenting with acrylic inks through the airbrush. Give you a bit of a heads up now, this experiment didn't quite go to plan. So join me on this journey of initial excitement, a little bit of panic, a few unexpected challenges in which I didn't think I was going to face with this model, and ultimately a form of redemption with the model back to a type of standard that would look alright on the table. So right from the very first step of masking my model is where it started to go wrong. I attempted to mask certain areas with the blue tack, hoping to then go and paint the yellow in afterwards to give sort of a bright lightning effect. However, let's say the masking didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped. So you can see here, as I'm applying the light, vibrant blue, I'm trying to get close to where I've masked, as this would be the lighter area of the model, with the colour darkening towards the outer part of the model, similar to when you do fire or smoke in a cloud. I'm not too worried about hitting the outer parts of the model at this stage. They'll get covered when I come back and do the darker colours. I really wanted to try and push myself with this little mini series, trying new mediums, acrylic inks, oils in a couple of different ways, as you may have seen in some of the previous videos. So with the acrylic inks today, I wanted to try and achieve a vibrant tornado effect in the model. And what I was aiming for was some sparks of lightning throughout a deep grey purple sort of tornado effect. As you'll see in the video, it didn't quite go to plan. Here, as I start to apply the darker gradients, I tried to spray from further away from the model, hitting only the parts that were not covered by the lighter ink. So as I've tried to apply the darker colours, I've moved further and further away from the model. Here you can see I'm giving a couple of blasts of purple, just to give some darker contrast to the model on the very outer parts of the model and from underneath. And as we go through the video, I'll try and point out some of the things I would have definitely done different to achieve better results. So hopefully you don't make the same mistakes I did. Now at this point, as I'm removing the masking, quite happy with how the head came out. I guess you'd call it a head. And as I start to remove the rest of my blue tack down through the model, this is where I can feel my heart dropping, and it started to become clear that this wasn't quite how I saw things going in my head. But in the name of experimentation and learning, I continued with the initial plan. Call it stubbornness, pig-headedness, but I continued anyway and started to apply the yellow. Of course, as I applied the yellow, which is translucent, onto the blue, instead of a nice fade from that yellow into the blue, I got a really dirty looking yellow to green to blue. Common sense, I should have seen this one coming. Lesson learnt. So looking back with hindsight, I believe if I had painted it maybe in the bright yellow first, and then done a very meticulous job of masking it, then moving outward from that light yellow backwards through the light blue, through the purple, applying the yellow, the lighter colour, especially as a transparent ink after the blue was already down, was definitely a bad idea, which gave me that murky green. Sometimes a creative process involves taking risks, and in this case it didn't quite yield the desired result. So facing a potential disaster here, I decided to pivot, change gear and pick up the paints and paintbrushes and try to redeem what I could of the model. It's a great reminder that not every experiment goes to plan, definitely when it's a learning experiment and trying something new. You know, it's okay to not achieve the desired effect every time, so long as you learn something from it. This is the part where I pivoted, grabbed an array of colours in acrylics and decided to grab the paintbrush to see if I could still continue with the plan I had. So continuing on with my original idea of the yellow electrical look through the tornado, I tried to put the brush on. I brushed on some yellow and it just was not coming together. I made another pivot, grabbed the blue and went over this lightened yellow with the blue. The end result, I think you'd agree, is better than what we had with just the airbrush, but nowhere near what I wanted. This is where I realized the model wasn't going to come together as I thought it would. So I wanted to see if I could redeem this This is the part where I started to get into the small details of the model. I really enjoy this part of the painting process as it really brings out the contrast into the model. You start seeing those finer details come through. I find this really enjoyable, painting the small details of the model. After the majority of it's done, it's where things really start to pop. These small details really add the depth to the model. So this is where I introduced the grey for the rocks. So I call it stubborn or whatever, but I kept the yellow for the sharp lightning bolt details around the hands and of course the head. Then we've looked at some gold and silver for the obvious metallic parts, which really helped bring a little bit of contrast. Adding these steps brought the model to basically a table ready state. You could play with it, but I wouldn't display it, and it definitely wasn't the grand finish to the series I'd envisioned. One of the things as a beginner, of course, is to embrace the learning journey. So as much as I'm not as happy with the model as I would like to have been, I've learned a lot from it. One thing I definitely want to encourage is having a go. And the great thing with 3D printing, if I was really upset with the model, I could have printed another one and started again. You know, it's not the be all and end all if you do make mistakes. Looking back with hindsight, I would have approached this differently. Perhaps starting with the yellow base, meticulously masking and then progressing through the darker inks. This could have yielded a smoother outcome and better transitions. So the wind elemental at this point may not be a masterpiece, but it has its own unique charm, so to speak, and looks quite alright with the other models and would be quite alright quite at home on the gaming table. The essence of this journey is the process of learning, adapting, and trying to better yourself with each paint job you do. And each painting session, whether it's a success or a failure, does add something to your learning progress. And the reason I've shown this video is, of course, not to just showcase every success, but you do have to show the rough side of things. As a beginner, not everything goes to plan, but if anything, hopefully you've got a few takeaways from this video of what not to do, how things can go wrong, and just that little bit of confidence to just progress. If that means pivoting, changing your tack, go for it. So all in all, this wind element was sort of a journey in experimentation, resilience, and just ploughing ahead. Call it stubbornness if you want to. So if you enjoyed witnessing this journey, feel free to hit the like button. If you hit the subscribe button, that would help me out heaps. And if you're interested in any of the other elemental models that I've painted up here, check out the videos.